I was a kid. I just wanted to get, smoke, right around music, hear it. Oh, the crap, the neighborhood loves it. Nah, it's not how it works if you're trying to make money in the game too.
Welcome to the podcast from Doug Ground Up Productions with hosts Lady Miz and Ray. This is a universal platform, and there is nothing off limits. We talk about it all, and we keep it real. This is a no judgment zone, so come as you are. If you are a professional, entertainer, author, comedian, entrepreneur, or just someone who wants to get something off their chest, well, let your voice be heard here on From the Ground Up Productions. Sponsorship and other opportunities are available from the Ground Up Productions. Turning nothing into something. There's only one way to go from here. And now, here are your hosts, Lady Miz and Ray.
What's up, y'all? You know what it is. This is Lady Miz on From the Ground Up Productions, and there's only one way to go from here. Today, I got a super dope rapper from BK in the building. We got Hectik, the Latin assassin. How you doing, my brother?
I'm doing good. How y'all doing?
We doing okay.
That's what's up.
Yeah, we both here, but it's just me right now doing the interview for you, but we still gonna chop it up. You know what I'm saying?
All good. Shout out to Yelby.
Yes. So listen, let's get into because you know why we here. We want to know about you, your career, what you got going on and coming up. So let's first start with you telling us a little bit about yourself and your background and how you got started into rapping.
Well, I was born in Brownsville, Brooklyn.
Right.
Lived pretty much was raised there to about junior high. Then I went to the Sheepshead, lived in the Bronx sometime. Lived in Florida, kind of bounced back and forth. Now, my dad, he was like a house party club DJ, so he always had mad vinyls, and he had the techniques at the crib. And I went to go live with him when I was getting a little older, and my parents split. So he got me like the first 36 Chambers vinyl, and
Okay.
Onyx and Snoop Dogg and Biggie's first single. I got that on vinyl. That's not even labeled Bad Boy. This was when they did it on the MCA.
You
So
got the throwbacks.
yeah, I got the throwback. So my pops pretty much being in that lane of music and loving music and having vinyls from the 70s, 80s, 90s, and putting on, and obviously in New York, listening to Hot 97 and everything, you know what I mean? Music was in me. And then, as I got older, as a teenager, I had family members that rapped, and they used to always bug me and be like, yo, drop a freestyle. Like, come on, man, jump in the cypher. I never rapped. So then one day I was just like, fuck it. And I just started doing it, and, the rest was history. And
Who influenced you more in the hip hop game? Who would you say? Nas. Okay.
Nas definitely, to me, Illmatic is the greatest album of all time. I love the way Nas is. I love the way he's never changed. Definitely Wu-Tang, Big. Me being Puerto Rican, Big Pun, definitely. For what he did for us and our culture. I mean, it's not, Puerto Ricans were in the game, but he took it to another level. So a lot, Mobb Deep, rest in peace, Prodigy, Big L, a lot of people, but definitely Nas.
Okay.
Definitely Nas was my top influence.
Dope. You see, it's nice to hear people still mentioning Big L. Like a lot of the newcomers, they don't even understand, you know what I'm saying, hip hop, and where a lot of people that's not even here no more. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, you definitely
I was a bad boy. I
Yes.
was a bad boy. Things would have been different if he didn't pass.
Yes, man. Yes, yes, yes. And shout out to all of them because they all
Yep.
dope MCs. Do you remember when did you write your first rhyme?
Probably when I was like 17, like
17?
16, 17, just messing around. And then I met my best friend, James Gamble's the lucky bastard, and like, then we started writing rhymes together, and then it was just there. But then I just kept going. And then at that time I was living in Florida. It was kind of hard. They had a different sound, which was cool, but I didn't really have nowhere to go record. We could record it over the boombox and stuff like that. So like the beginning of even though I was writing, it's like I never really got the opportunities until like now.
Okay.
So,
So when you say opportunities, tell me what your opportunities are right now, what you got going on with your music career.
like like a steady studio, doing videos, having the right sound, learning the business of the music, because back then I was a kid. I just wanted to get smoke, write a rhyme, music, hear it. Oh, the crowd, the neighborhood loves it. Nah, that's not how it works if you're trying to make money in the game too.
Okay.
So there's a lot of stuff that I wish that I know now that I could put in my older self, but then I wouldn't be here if I wasn't my older self. But you know now with, like I said, steady connections, steady being able to move and do stuff the right way and have rights and have support. At that time, I was my ex-wife really didn't support what I was doing, and my wife now is 100% supportive of what I'm doing. So that mentally helps when you have someone that, at home that doesn't support you, and, someone that does, so it was a culmination of a lot of things that now, you know, just it's just steady and consistency and stuff like that. So now I'm able to do more, be in a better headspace,
Right.
stuff like that.
So, cause all right, so you got support now from your wife that you are with now. Shout
Yeah.
out to her. I think it is very important to have somebody that believes in you, and because it also helps motivate you. You know what I mean?
Yep.
When you're doing stuff, because that energy is everything.
Yep.
So what would you say, like, have you ran into any type of issues with trying to come out as an independent artist? Are you looking to get signed? What are your goals in this whole
I
business?
mean, that's always the goal, was looking to, whether getting signed distribution deals, making sure that, you get your royalties and stuff. Obviously, I didn't, like I said again, I didn't know the business. I have people behind me that's teaching me the business, taught me a lot about the business, a lot about paper, having my paperwork right and stuff like that. And you deal with you learn in this career that not everyone who says supports you,
Mm,
and you run with different problems with promoters, and doing shows and promoters and trying to scheme you and stuff like that, and or people saying like, yeah, 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 we got you back, or yeah, we messing with you, and then they're not really, they hating on the sideline.
right.
It's, and it's crazy because I dealt with artists that like were in the game. I've done, like yesterday, the video I was shooting with Black Poets featuring on the track.
Dope,
And,
dope.
and, and I'm with him yesterday. We ride, and he's telling me, he's been in the game for a long time, and he's telling me about the problems he's still having and stuff that he's gone through. So it makes it think too, like, damn, I'm going through this, they still going through this.
Huh, okay. One of the things that you got to understand is that the problems is going to be there. There's no
Yep.
promised land in this industry for nobody, right? And whether you're an artist, a promoter, a dancer, anything in it, an actor, anything in the entertainment business, a lot of people sometimes we look at the ones who made it, and they have a name for themselves in the industry, and then you think that everything is going to be peachy and creamy with them, and it's not. Like, a
That is
lot of them
not.
is still grinding from the ground up, baby. So
Yeah.
it is what it is.
Yeah. Or
Now,
giving knowledge of like,
yes.
yo, man, I had to go through this, or I had to deal with this promoter during the show, or not trying to pay me full, and I'm just like, damn, y'all still going through that, and it's
Yeah,
just,
crazy.
and obviously it ain't them, but it's just the people, out there, and it's just, it's crazy to see, but then it's just like, all right, well, then too, like, it's like, all right, well, then I shouldn't feel so bad because everybody's going through it, not just me.
Right, right. Yeah.
On any different genre of music, with managers, podcasters, DJs, I know, they all probably have to deal with some types of struggles or something when they're dealing with something in this
In
business.
the industry, absolutely. Now, what would you say that you're doing that you feel you might be doing different when it comes to, rapping and in this genre of music? Because, at the end of the day, we're going to be totally blunt. We know it's an oversaturated business and everybody is in it. What would you say that you bring to the table that's different than what everybody else got going on? Makes
I
you
can say one
unique?
thing definitely that I bring to the table is coming, I've done a lot of boom bap. I'm very versatile. I could hit it with the bars. I could talk about my life, talk about topics and struggles. If they want to go trap, I could take it there. If they
Okay.
want to go drill, I could take it there. It's not my cup of tea, you know what I mean? But if I have to, I can take it there. You know what I mean? Like I could hold. I feel like I could hold my own, no matter what the beat is, no matter what who I'm working with or whatever. That I could hold my own. You know
Okay.
what I mean? Pause.
Now, what would you say when you talk about this in this business in this in hip hop? What category do you feel you fall in, if you fall into any? Would it be more on the boom bap side?
Yeah,
Would it be okay? All right, so it's more boom bap hip hop.
yeah.
Okay.
More underground boom bap hip hop, but definitely could, like I said, I could hang with trap rappers, drill rap. They give me that, I'll make it work. You know what I
Gotcha.
mean? I could take whatever. Like they say, take chicken shit and make it into chicken salad. I could do that.
Oh shit. Okay now. All right. Okay. Do you have us any dream person that you wish that you could work with in this industry?
Definitely Nas. Obviously, or someone like Raekwon, Method Man. Um, that's still going.
Mm-hmm.
Um, gosh, Ghostface, J. Cole, because I like his music, Griselda,
Okay.
Dave East, guys that are here today that's still keeping that sound. Um, I was fortunate to be able to do a song with Chris Rivers that was huge for me because of his pops and being Big Pun or
Mm-hmm.
whatever.
Oh, okay.
So that was huge. I have a track with Billy Dance that was huge from being from Brownsville and him being MOP being that legendary staple of Brownsville.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
so that meant a lot to me. But definitely, like Nas, Wu, those would definitely be like my dream, person if I would collaborate with,
Right.
would be some of those guys. But definitely Nas would be at the top of the list.
Got you. Okay, so what I find that's dope is that as an indie artist, you still grinding, but you do have hit, songs with people that were in the industry. Well, I don't want to say were, because when we talk about Big Pun's son, right? So I don't want to say were. I'm thinking were because I'm thinking Big Pun. So let me
Big Pun.
yeah,
Yeah.
let me rephrase that. You did a joint with his son, which is super dope. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
That's a big deal. And also being able to do a joint with a member of MOP is also, Brooklyn is Brooklyn. So I understand,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Y'all showing love
Yeah.
to each other. So shout out to y'all and BK. Yes, so being able to record with people such as them is a it's a great step in this industry. So that's dope all within
Yeah.
itself. You
Yes.
know? How many albums do you have out right now?
Right now, I have two. That's on DSPs. I have one with Gamble's a Lucky Bastard, Kayfabe is Dead. That's on Bandcamp. I have Life is Always Hectic Part One. Capadonna's on there.
Oh.
Um,
I
uh,
see why you got the 36 chambers. I can hear it all
yeah,
your stuff here. Okay.
yeah. And then I dropped Life is Always Hectic. I dropped that at the part one at the end of '03. I
Okay.
mean 23, not '03, 23. That one was more like in your face, boom bap, pretty much the whole ride. I did a song for my wife, but outside of that, it was
Right.
really like boom bap. Life is Always Hectic Part Two. Got Big Noid. Shout out to him, Billy Dance. Um, and that one was more grounded. You got your boom bap. You got your me talking about my life, and you know talking about I have a song on there called America that's just kind of talks about the world itself and dealing with today's things and how people's mental health are. So it's a little bit more grounded.
Okay.
Um, a-
Okay.
and then after that, I dropped the single with Black Poet,
Right.
and Amadeus 360, the Beat King on the beat. Um, and that's out now and on all DSPs, that single. And like I said yesterday, I was shooting the video for that. Shout out to him.
Breaks it down. How that sound? Mike for my clothes. When I speak, it gets real. When I speak, it gets real. When I speak, it gets real.
But in the womb, stargazes, his mama was dilating. I constantly violating, I violently annihilate him with the shotgun covered in my leg. Makes me walk with a limp, like when Brett the Hitman knocked out Vince and knocked pounds quick. Survivor never copped out. Bars leave their minds spinning like a roundhouse kick. Off the top lines, going over heads like a hoodie sweater. Bet against me, I cover eyes for you.
So those are pretty much the projects I have out right now that people could go listen to.
On
I'm featured also on other underground artists and albums and stuff like that. So you could catch me on some features as well.
dope. Dope.
With you got artists like One Son, ICEHC, um, my partner Gams, a couple other people that I did verses for that, my boy MC Herb that's dropping his album. I'm on there. I got working on Life is Always Hectic Part 3. Obviously, that track with Black Poet's going to be on it.
Okay.
I have Aguilar the Dawn that's going to be on it. I got Rusty Jukes that's going to be on it. Got Rex that's going to be on it. Um, Also working on an EP with a producer, Boomtack Beaks overseas, that I did songs with on both albums. He produced some songs on both albums.
Mhm.
Working on another group album with my partner. So that's pretty much between what I have now, circulating all around, and what's coming.
Nice. Okay, so I see you got a nice little catalog there of a lot of
Yeah.
different stuff working with a lot of different people. So that's good. What would you say? Like, now, do you have any shows coming up? Because I noticed you said you was out of town. Are you out of town on business,
Yes.
personal?
Yeah, I'm out of town on business. I have a show tomorrow opening up for Conway the Machine at the Meadows in Brooklyn.
Oh,
You guys be there. Doors open at 5. Graf will also be there as well. He's co-headlining. I have a couple shows coming up in Miami. In May and June. In June, I'll be co-headlining for Kid Kid. At the Cats Lounge in Miami.
okay,
Um,
okay.
so got a couple shows come, but definitely out here for business between doing that show and also shooting the video last night.
Now
You
you
know,
said,
uh,
you said out of town, but then you said you from Brooklyn and you're doing a show in Brooklyn. Do you still reside in Brooklyn as we speak?
not right now. Right now, I have a house out in Florida, so I'm
Okay.
staying in Florida at the moment. Me and my wife are looking to sell and come back up north because, to get back up north. But right now, I'm out there taking care of home business. You know what I mean, and life business. That's where that's where I'm residing right now is Florida. But I'm always coming up to New York and coming up. My brother still lives in Brooklyn and stuff like that to see family and for business.
Got you. What would is there anything? I mean, I know that you love a lot about the industry. Obviously, you're in it. Is there something that you don't like that you wish that you could change in this industry, this entertainment, especially hip hop industry?
Um, you know what? I wish that the younger generation would pay dues to the older generation, like my generation did when we were coming up. When you had your Nas's and your Loxes and all they come up, they always paid respect to your G raps and your Rock Hymns and your Daddy Kanes and your KRS ones and
Yes.
your what I mean, Cooler Rock, you know what I mean, Kumo D and stuff like that. So your Slick Ricks, so they did that, and then the ones after that paid respect to those. But it's like now the artists now, it's like they don't know where the culture came from. They don't pay their respects to the Nas's and the Jay-Z's and the Lil Waynes and the
LL.
Eminems and
The
the
Salt and
Big
Peppers and
Pun.
the Queen Latifahs. Let's not forget the
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah. No,
MC
no, Queen
Light.
Latifah. Like your Queen Latifahs. I had that Unity, UNITY, just another day living in the hood, just another day around the
Around the
way.
way. Hey,
Um, you know, Fuji's Lauren Hill
what?
is my favorite female rapper of all time. Lauren can spit and
Dancing.
and your Lil Kims and your Foxies and your
Uh,
Eves and your Remy's and even the female rappers. Some of them do, but not all. Show respect to them either. And those women, even down to Roxanne and
Hey.
Lady Luck and they don't give them their respect either.
So
You
that's
know,
what you wish that you could change. And
yeah, that
okay,
that they would give more respect and still keep it more like, you know, I know everything evolves, but we could still everybody could still sit at the table.
absolutely. Well, listen, I'm running out of time here because I this thing is on the timer. I don't want to have it cut us off.
No
So,
problem.
so I got a couple of things that I want to ask you. First of all, give your social medias and give your shout outs, and then I want you to end with a message to the people.
All right, my social medias, you can catch me on Instagram, Hectic the Latin Assassin. That's Hectik. The is THE, the Latin Assassin. Twitter is Hectic with the same from BK. YouTube is Hectic the Latin Assassin. Facebook is Hectic Negron Jr. Keep I kept it simple so that way my family. Everything else, everywhere else you can find me is Hectic the Latin Assassin on all digital platforms. I want to shout out my wife, Crystal, business, Run This City Prince. She does my merch. Shout out to Fleet DJs. I'm a Fleet artist. Shout out to God Division. Um, shout out to Swag. Shout out to MJ. Um, you know, shout out to DVD. Shout out to Watch Me Move. Um, I could keep going on and on.
Shout out
Um,
to everybody you
and
with, right?
yeah, but I just want to
Yes.
make sure I got everybody. Shout out, definitely couldn't do this without the Lord's work. So shout out to the Lord. Shout out to my kids. Love you guys. Um, and what was the next thing you had said? I'm sorry.
And end it with giving us a message that you want to tell people, like anybody that's coming up in this industry, any encouraging words that you want to tell them.
Don't stop and don't take no for an answer. You could, plenty of people are going to tell you no. Keep going. If this is what you truly want to do, keep going. Keep working hard. Keep making connections. Go out. Even if you go perform an event, don't leave right afterwards. Network. You good. You never know who's in the building. You know, you can meet artists, you can meet producers, you can meet, you don't know if someone's in there scouting, you know, so stay true to yourself. Don't take no for an answer. Keep grinding. And if you're performing, it doesn't matter if there's 5 people there, 500, kill it like it's 500.
I love that. I love that. That's great advice. Great advice. And I hope y'all take heed to that because people be doing their shows and bouncing out. But you got to wait to that end because everybody matters there. I love that advice you gave. So listen, I want to thank you for coming on to From the Ground Up Productions. We would love to have you back on the show and can't wait to see your video and what you have coming up. Do me a favor before we end this video. Can you give us a personal shout out? We always like to have that. State your name, and I want to give a shout out to From the Ground Up.
Yep. This is Hectik, the Latin Assassin, Brownsville, Brooklyn in the building, and I want to give a shout out to From the Ground Up. Appreciate them for this interview, and y'all stay tuned to them because I know they got more coming.
Thank you. All right. Thank you so much. Well, listen, y'all, we up out of here. This is From the Ground Up Productions. We'll see y'all next time. And y'all know what we always say. It's only one way to go from here. Let's get it. Peace.
We hope you enjoyed your time with From the Ground Up Productions. We'll see you next time. Be sure to add our channel to your Roku list and listen to us on all streaming platforms.
From the ground up. From the ground up. There's only one way to go from here.